Hello. Nordic occultism is divided into two categories, Galdr and Seidr. Seidr is what I will be talking about for this video. Seidr is actually an umbrella term covering several practices. This isn't clear, but for my money, it covers certain divinations, including necromancy, types of inward meditations. Uh, even two that we know of are called Utsaseta, which means sitting out or out sitting, and Haugeseta, which, if I said that correctly, it means mound sitting or sitting on top of a ancestral burial mound, or even just where people have been buried. Uh, and this is in the effort to contact the spirits of the dead or spirits of one's ancestors. So, Seder is a spirit and inner work of all kinds, basically. The thing being, it seems to involve the most is shamanic journey as the main thing. The New Age community refers to this as either astral projection, out of body experience, remote viewing, astral vision, Seder. Seder is shamanic in nature. Its origins are not quite clear, but according to the story, Odin learned the art from the goddess Freya. Odin, being the magical seeker he is not satisfied with what he knows. He's always trying to expand upon his knowledge and learn something new. Now, the myths aside, some believe Seder was a practice that the North Germanic peoples adopted from the Sami, either through integration of the cultures or in some other way. Others believe it's a surviving element of our earliest practices. Being shamanic, I believe this to be true when the Indo-Europeans, more specifically the Germanic peoples, migrated into Europe some 5,000 or so years ago or so. About uh, they were actually the second Indo-European people to arrive into Europe, the first being the Celts. Uh, they may or may not have had shamanism as part of their religious practice. We know that they brought polytheism uh, and the Bronze Age as nearly as they brought those two things nearly everywhere they went. They may have also brought introduced horse domestication and wine fermentation also. But when they arrived, they eventually merged with the cultures who were already here. Now, those folks more than likely had shamanism and animism as their base religions, going uh, just as their ancestors did, were believed to have also. Um, now, those people would have been the last of Europe's Neolithic cultures, or New Stone Age people. Now, we believe that we can't. I'm not sure we can quite call them native to Europe, but we believe they came from the merging of another merging long before them of the last of Neanderthal peoples and Cro-Magnon peoples. Now we all know from archaeology that both of those people had shamanism and animism as part of their religious practices. Now, so it's not a leap of the imagination that uh, shamanism would survive into the modern era uh, in the form of what we call Seder. Now, I'm going to focus on the shamanic journey part. Because this is spirit work, we are dealing with the manipulation of one's haminga, uh, or spirit energy, spirit body, soul, astral body, whatever you want to call it. The idea is that it separates from the like, the physical body, and can travel different realms of existence, different times, different places, even seeing through the eyes of one's spirit animal or philia, uh, which is one's animal familiar. And this is an area where shapeshifting kind of comes into the picture. It wasn't just the vulva who practiced Seidr. It was because many of us are aware of whom were called the berserkers, and I'll get to that a little bit more in a moment. The altered state of consciousness is where Seidr begins. There are many theories about how the berserkers achieved this or how the vulva went into trance, but the truth is we don't know because there are dozens, if not hundreds, of ways to do this. Some people fast for prolonged periods, others expose themselves to extreme or adverse circumstances, repetitive drumming, rattling, rasping, tapping one's staff onto a rock repeatedly, focusing on one's heartbeats, breath. I can go on and on. Anyone can do it. It's it all begins with focus and relaxation, and that's why meditation is a part of the puzzle, as is visualization and breath work. Um, we have a thing called Vardlocker, which is a type of song which that is used to help facilitate the altered state in which the huminga can separate from the like. Um, some say this has nothing to do with Galder, but that's debatable. I disagree with that just a little bit. Galder is a magic that resonates outward and can help create the conditions for Seidr. Uh, a Vardlocker's may be slightly different, but it's a song that resonates more inward to facilitate the Seidr and the altered state one needs to experience. But Vardlocker, it doesn't seem to be a song that is a given. I mean, it doesn't seem to be a song that you've composed yourself, or that a galder that like a galder that you've composed yourself. It's more something that you've received from the spirit world to kind of a. It's like a. I think it's like a spirit, like your direct line to the spirit world. I guess you could say. Spirit enhancer, so to speak, so that you can slip into the state that's necessary so that you can have your shamanic journey. Um, and that may be the difference there. Um, but yeah, it's not something you've made yourself. It's something that you've been given. Uh, that's what it's believed. Now, if Errol Boviker is watching, he might be a little perplexed because part of my issue is that I've had quite a bit of trouble with this type of work as of late for a number of different reasons. Uh, thus being a part of why he and I did business in the first place. He's an excellent guy. We access the spirit realms in different ways than just through meditation or uh, getting into a trance state. Some people like myself have been most successful achieving the separation in the dream state, more specifically lucid dreaming, as the New Age community likes to call it, because one is aware they are dreaming. For me, it's usually when I become fully aware, and then your body's still asleep, but you're lucid enough. Physical sensations in the dream become real. Uh, your senses, as if feeling and seeing them all with your own body, so to speak, and that's usually when the the huminga separates from the like. Um, one particular time this occurred, I felt myself. It was a lucid dream, right? I felt myself lift off the ground, literally felt, and the feeling of fear. So it's those intuitive feelings uh, also that are a factor. That feeling of fear being lifted off the ground like that is what brought me down. However, the sensation was so strong, I just let go, and next thing I know, it was a like kind of like a total whiteout, and I'm walking. Next thing I'm in this restaurant or a lounge. It was a really nice place. It was early in the morning, real early, before sunrise. Now I'm seeing a friend, well, an acquaintance, and he's having breakfast or something with a bunch of people. Now, when I told him of this experience the following afternoon, he confirmed to me that this is indeed what he was doing, where he was, and what I was seeing. Um, he was pretty surprised by it, kind of shocked. Uh, I mean, I wasn't spying on him or intentionally doing that. Although some people, when they project like that, probably do just that, and I don't think it's good business to go doing that, or you know, could be asking for a lot of trouble. um, but in another experience, I encountered some animals, uh, moose and black bears, actually, doing whatever moose and black bears do. Um, Now, this is the dream state, and this dream was clearly a manifestation of uh, life around here. I was actually in my sister-in-law's neighborhood, and in her yard even. I was with my wife and son in this dream, and there's a lot of open, thick bush around here. So there's there's a lot of moose and black bear uh, hanging around here all the time. But anyway, in my sister-in-law's yard, I happened to catch this one black bear just staring dead right at me, and he notices. Uh, because I noticed him, he stood up and began walking uh, toward towards me, but past me. And as he was getting closer, he was taking on a more human form, and wanting to know what this was. I mean, I was becoming more and more lucid, more and more aware. By this time, I knew I was dreaming, but I'm aware that something's happening. That's how you know that you're having a lucid dream. But uh, the greater your awareness becomes, the more it wants to move out of that lucid dream state into a projection or when your consciousness wants to leave your body, it's being transferred into a different uh, a different realm of existence, and that's how Seidr basically begins anyway. Um, Now, I wanted to know what this was, so I followed him, but I lost him in this group of people. It was a circle of people. Now, you can kind of get the idea of what's going on here, and these were friendly faces, nonchalant. They wanted giving off the impression that there was nothing to worry about. Uh, well, and there was a reason for that. To me, this was an encounter with a shapeshifter who didn't want me to know his identity and was watching me, probably, maybe still is for whatever reason. That's my belief anyway. Dreams aside, the soul body will do what it wants sometimes. Uh, when a person's like is down and out for the evening, during this kind of journey, we often come into contact with otherworldly beings and departed souls, animal spirits, ancestors, etc. We can communicate with them, gather their knowledge, even assist them in certain ways. Because we are dealing with soul energy, we have the potential to both heal, harm, merge with other energies, take on certain ailments that another's body can't fight, sometimes transfer ailments into non-living objects or beings, even temporarily uh, acquiring the powers of certain spirits. And the magic of Seidr seems to be what we bring back with us when we come out of it sometimes, be it occult knowledge, sigils, information like the prophecies of the Volva from Eric the Red's saga, or basically when we come out of other worlds, sometimes we'll be gifted with a little something or a little favor that we might ask. I'll use the Berserkers as an example. regardless of however they entered the trance state. What I believe they had done was acquired temporarily the strength and the ferocity of bear and wolves through this type of means. And you know, some people might debate that. Like I said, it's not really clear what or how or why they needed to do this. Um, how to facilitate Galler? I think Seidr. I think one has to first be able to see and view into the spirit world in some form or another. Some people use a henbane muscaria tonic, but I don't know enough about that to recommend it to anyone. What I did, I simply got sick of all the meditation, new age crap that I was drowning in. So I expanded upon the meditations with visualization in different ways than people were feeding me, literally misleading me. And some occultists will do that to you. And I need to talk about that some more in the future. But once I did this, the channels opened up more and my focus became sharper. Uh, um, then, when I learned about the art of Galder and how one can create changes in one's environment and make it a little more Seidr friendly, i.e., assistance by ridding oneself of negative energies, bringing harmony to one's home, eliminating doubt, changes in one's environment, um, uh, eliminating doubt and self-detriment, improving focus, you name it. Galder is also very useful in energy work, and uh, the runes too, especially the raid rune. The Galder of that rune alone is helpful enough getting into a trance state. One could add to this with drumming or some other method. Once the trance state is achieved, it's simply a matter of focus, to me anyway, but more importantly, patience. There are those who have been doing this for a long time and are much better at it than I am, but from what I keep hearing on average is that even for them, half the time they won't be able to achieve the shamanic journey or say their journey. Um, Modern science kind of recognizes the uh, brain waves and the frequencies of them, how we can get into altered states, and this is their way of explaining how we can get into different states of consciousness. We got the alpha state, which is our superconscious, and that's how we can perceive the spirit world in real time and greater aspects of reality. Um, and then next is the beta state. Beta waves is where we keep our minds the majority of the time. Um, and from there we can access alpha, which for some may be little bit easier, but and it may be a little bit harder for some to access the next one, which is the theta state. And uh, the theta state is where we are lucid enough. We're still somewhat conscious to perceive the conscious reality and then the subconscious reality, and even uh, the subconscious reality, which is basically what theta is. And it's where they're kind of reconciled. And we become lucid enough in this state to actually uh, experience soul travel or a shamanic journey and whatnot. And the one beneath it is delta, which is the unconscious state or the deep, deep unconscious. Uh, and because theta is kind of right in between, uh, that's where this type of work begins, so to speak. Um, Now, and yeah, that allows one to be able to experience from multiple aspects of reality. It also helps to explain how some people can actually achieve this achieve the shamanic journey from the dreaming state. For some people, that might be more difficult. For others, it might be more difficult to achieve from the conscious state. I've had difficulty with both, ease with both, and it's work that you just got to work with. Try to find ways to get in and out of it uh, that work for you, that are easier, and it gets easier with time. It really does, but it's all about patience and practice. Um, all of that still scratching the surface. Um, but when it comes to Seder, I got so sick of I like to do a lot of research, even some pointless research here and there. So if I go on YouTube, if I want to research Seder a little bit, nobody really goes into it in depth, or they kind of confine what they know to the myths, and that drove me nuts. And that's part of the reason why I'm making this video. So I hope some of you will have found this informative. I just want to say thank you to Seidr Manning for uh, how she's helped me with this type of work. Uh, I respect fully that she's spirituality for her has taken on a whole new form in her life, and she's doing what is right for her, and we should all be doing that for ourselves as well. So I want to say thank you to her. Um, Again, I hope some of you will have found this informative. Have a good evening.